Alright guys, welcome back to another horror room movie review, and today is Leatherface, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. This movie came out in 1990. Budget of $2 million, only made $5 million. That's not good. But this movie has Viggo Mortensen, who is Aragorn from Lord of the Rings. And there's actually two different versions of this movie. The movie they originally had planned, they wanted to have rated X. So, of course, they toned it down a little bit so it could get the R rating. Now, they eventually came out with the uncut version, which is the one I watched. And I have no idea why they wanted this movie rated X. It's really not that bad at all. There's a few gory scenes, but it's nothing like what we have today. I mean, I was very surprised that they thought this was too much in 1990. So that being said, I thought this was a pretty good movie. It wasn't really disturbing though, and I don't know if it's because of the movie itself. It just didn't really feel like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, or if it's because I've watched so many of these lately that I've just become numb to it. But for me personally, it was a good movie. I enjoyed this movie. It had some cool fight scenes and everything, but it didn't feel like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. So yeah, this one wasn't very disturbing. They tried. There was a scene where they nailed the girl's hands into the chair for the dinner scene, and they tried some new stuff, but I don't know if it was Aragorn or the way the family interacted. It just didn't feel creepy or anything. Definitely, you know, a weird cannibal family vibe and stuff. It wasn't like the first two. Definitely not like the first. The first one was very disturbing, but this one wasn't even as bad as the second, I thought. And that movie was funny. So, but yeah, I still enjoyed the movie overall. They start off with a recap, which I thought was kind of weird because I read on Wikipedia they did kind of want to make it is in the storyline. It does follow the storyline, but it's also kind of a reboot because, of course, the family was killed in the second movie. So I was trying, just from my perspective, the way I piece things together, not looking this up or anything, just watching the movies, what I assume happened was Leatherface somehow survived and went to go live with some relatives who also happen to eat people. That's just what I pieced together. So anyways, in the recap, it says Sally died in a mental institution in 1977. A member of the family, the cannibal family, W.E. Sawyer, died in the gas chamber in 1982. And they thought that Leatherface was one of his alter egos, that he'd turn into Leatherface when he wore a mask made of human skin. However, it goes on to say that if Leatherface was actually real, then what happened previously was just the beginning. So in the opening credits, we see Leatherface making a new mask. And we see this couple, Michelle and Ryan, they're driving to Florida. They're breaking up or something, and they hear about a body pit that was found on the radio. They get stuck in traffic. The police are removing bodies from this pit, corpses and everything. And they get stopped by the cop, and the cop says, just keep going and don't stop for anything. And as they're driving away, they hit an armadillo. And Michelle gets out of the car and she picks up a rock. She's going to try and put it out of its misery, and she can't do it, so she has Ryan do it. And the only reason I mention this is because it actually comes into play later. But anyways, they pull up to a gas station, and this creepy guy works there. He takes Michelle's picture and then tries to sell it back to her, just like the hitchhiker in the first movie. And we see Viggo Mortensen, who is Tex, and he tells the gas station employee to leave her alone, and he tells Michelle that he's the town loony ever since he lost his job at the slaughterhouse. Tex asks if he can get a ride, and Ryan says, we can't help you. And he says, well, I know a shortcut, and he tells him the shortcut, and Ryan says, I'm sorry, we can't help you. Meanwhile, Michelle goes into the bathroom, and the gas station employee is spying on her through a peephole. Which was strange because it shows his point of view, and it's really like an awkward point of view. But anyways, it was just really strange. And Tex goes into the bathroom and he kind of beats the guy up. and he says, leave her alone. He tells Michelle and Ryan about it, and then the gas station guy comes out with a gun, and Tex says, go on, get out of here, take off. So Ryan and Michelle drive away. The guy blasts the back of their window out, and we see him shoot Tex. We're supposed to believe that he killed Tex in order to scare Michelle and Ryan. However, of course, we find out later that he didn't, and Tex is in on this whole thing. So as they're driving away, Ryan says, let's take the Cowboys route. So you can see where this is going. So at night, it's nighttime now, and we see a truck pull out of the gas station and head after them. And he catches up to them immediately. Like, when they left the gas station, it was daytime. And at night, this truck leaves the gas station and he's right behind them. So they had to be going, like, I don't know, 10 miles an hour or something like that after a guy pulled a gun on him. So that was really hard to believe, but he catches up to him. And I just, trying to rationalize here, I say, okay, maybe he knows the route, maybe he knows a quicker shortcut or something. I'm just trying to make sense of it, but the driver throws a dead coyote at their windshield, breaking it and causing them to run off the road. They run off the road, and Ryan's trying to change the tire, and Leatherface shows up. And he's wearing this weird metal brace on his leg. I don't know if that's supposed to be because he was injured in the second movie, because in the second movie he was like stabbed through the stomach with a chainsaw. So I don't know how the metal brace on his leg helps that. But he's got this weird metal brace on his leg. And that is one thing I did remember about this movie when I watched it the first time. But he's coming after him. They hit him with the car and they take off. So we see Ken Foree, who plays Benny, and he's awesome. He's in Dawn of the Dead. He's the dad on Kenan and Kel. I can't remember his name. It was like something Rockmore. But he's driving a Jeep, and the family uses a corpse to distract him, and it causes him and Michelle and Ryan to run each other off the road. And they both wreck their cars. Benny comes over to check on them. He says that he comes up here to do a survival camp. And so he knows stuff. He's got supplies, and he goes to try and help them. And Ryan tells Benny they're being hunted. And of course he thinks they're delusional. Benny goes to get some supplies, and he gives them some painkillers, which make them drowsy. And they show him the car where the chainsaw cut it, and he sees that they're telling the truth. There is someone hunting them. So he goes to the Jeep to get some more supplies, and we see another family member up there who has a hook for a hand. He's lighting flares. He's acting like he's trying to help him. I know his name is Tinker Sawyer, I believe, is what they call him in this movie. But he's lighting these flares, and he's acting like he's going to help him. And Benny sees the chainsaw in his truck, so he realizes that this guy is one of the bad guys. And he goes to his Jeep. He says, alright, just give me a second. I got to get one thing out of the Jeep. And he's going to the Jeep to get his gun. And he's taking a really long time. It's one of these guns he's got to put together. And this causes the Sawyer family member to try to run him over. And Benny dodges this. However, once he gets up, Leatherface is there. And they get into a fight. He's not able to get the gun finished. And he's fighting Leatherface. And then this girl shows up, and she's wearing these raggedy clothes. And she distracts Leatherface, and she basically saves Benny's life. So I guess she circles around or something, because she comes back to Benny, and she tells him that she was with the group, and she's the only one left. And she was attacked by this crazy family, and that they watch the road. So Benny leaves her there because he hears Ryan and Michelle, and he says, I'm going to go help my friends. And he goes to find them. He sees all these traps set up in the woods. They got like this trip wire that causes one of these springing things to open. So he's dodging these traps. And then while he leaves the girl, Leatherface shows up and kills the girl. Ryan gets caught in a bear trap, and Leatherface kills him. Michelle runs to a house, and of course she goes right in. And she sees this little girl who's acting all nice and stuff, but when she gets close, she stabs her in the leg with this piece of a bone, and Tex shows up, of course. And he takes her to the dining room. He nails her hands into a chair, and the blood comes out, and the little girl says something like, "We don't poke them, they don't bleed, we can't feed. Dun dun dun, Grandpa, still alive. Somehow, after all these years, he's got to be 140, I believe. Or 141. I can't remember exactly what they said he was. I think the second movie... So... I guess that would make him 41. Give or take. And Grandpa is still alive. And then the mother comes in. She's in a wheelchair. She has a voice box, kind of like Kane. And the guy with the hook comes in with Ryan's body, puts him on the meat hook. Tex and the hook guy get Leatherface a new chainsaw that says the Saw's family engraved on it. And let's see what happens here. The hook guy gets mad at Leatherface because he hasn't captured Benny yet. So he takes Leatherface's Walkman, and he throws it into the oven. And this pisses Leatherface off. And he grabs the hook guy's hand and he makes him reach in and get it, but with his good hand. And I thought that was an awesome scene. So Benny catches the guy who worked at the gas station. He's out dumping bodies into a swamp, and he knocks him in to drown, I guess. And then he gets to the house, and he's looking through the window, and we see Leatherface, who is playing this. He's playing this learning game, where you have a picture and you have to, guess what it is. And it shows a picture of a clown, and Leatherface types food. And he gets it wrong, and he's starting to get frustrated. He keeps trying to put in food. And meanwhile, Benny is watching this the entire time, and he says, "What kind of sick shit is this?" It was just really funny. It wasn't. I don't think it was supposed to be, but this came across as really funny. But I also liked the scene. I thought it was good. I liked how Leatherface is trying to do like this little kid's game. Thinks you have to eat people. So apparently Ryan is still alive. Somehow he's dangling from the meat hooks and he's still alive. And the little girl wants to deliver the final blow. All of this should have been disturbing. It just wasn't. She wants to deliver the final blow. She pulls this string thing to cause a hammer to smash into Ryan's head. The hook guy and Tex see that they're checking his body, and they see he's got on these colored underwear. And they both look at each other and say, "California." It was not good. But the mom says something about how she cut off her lady parts and alludes to cutting off Grandpa's dick at some point. I don't know. Once again, just another cheap way. There was no reason to even bring this up. I think she brought it up because Leatherface was attracted to Michelle. But yeah, it was just completely out there. Didn't make a lot of sense, and just another way to try to make this movie more disturbing. But I was shaking my head like, what? That's just so random. Benny shows up, and he just starts blasting. He's got his gun, and he just starts shooting all of them through the window. This was great. He kills the mom. He blows Grandpa's face in, and you just see all this dust fly out. That was cool. He shoots the hook guy's fingers off of his good hand, obviously, and blows his ear off. And he's just shooting all of them through the window. And Michelle pulls her hands up off of the nails and escapes from the house. So Benny gets into a fight with Tex, and this was a good fight scene. However, Tex didn't seem really upset after seeing all his family members getting attacked, and his mom, I assume it's his mom, getting killed, and Grandpa. He didn't seem all that upset about any of this. He's just fighting Benny and laughing. He swings an axe at Benny, hits a gas tank. Benny pulls out a lighter and sets Tex on fire. Benny saves Michelle from Leatherface, and he's fighting Leatherface in the swamp, and we think Benny's dead. He falls into the water, and then Leatherface jumps up out of the water, grabs Michelle, and she beats Leatherface in the head with a rock. Which, that's why I mentioned the armadillo scene, is because in the beginning, she couldn't even kill this thing to put it out of its misery. But here, she's been through so much trauma, she's able to kill Leatherface with a rock. And just, well, not kill him, obviously, but smash him in the head repeatedly with a giant rock. So I thought that was kind of a cool scene because they went back to something that happened earlier and showing just, what she's been through, that she's in survival mode now. She's willing to do anything. Which would have been better if the movie was disturbing. So that it kind of sucks that it wasn't, because here it's like, oh, she's in survival mode, but it's like, whatever. So she smashes him in the head with a rock. And then we see that it's morning now, and Michelle sees Benny, who pulls up in a truck. He survived. He picks her up. However, the gas station employee, he's still alive, and he hits Benny with a sledgehammer. Michelle grabs a shotgun out of the truck Benny was in, shoots the gas station employee, and her and Benny drive away. And we see Leatherface watching this. He's still alive, and he starts up his chainsaw, and the movie ends. So Benny and Michelle escape, and that was it. That was Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. I only watched this movie once, and it was years ago. So the only things I really remembered were the metal leg, or the metal brace on Leatherface's leg, and the bear trap with Ryan. And the scenes in the woods with the traps and stuff. That's really all I remembered about this movie. And watching it again, it is kind of a forgettable movie. There's nothing that really sticks out. After watching it now, I'll probably remember the dinner scene most because she was like nailed into the chair. But that was it, really. There wasn't just a lot of stuff in this movie that would make you think, oh man, that was great, or anything like that. It was just kind of an average horror movie. That's Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. Hope you guys like this video. I will be back with Texas Chainsaw Next Generation, which actually has Matthew McConaughey in it. And I believe he's one of the family members. And that's another one I only watched one time. So I'm looking forward to watching that one again. But anyway, I hope you guys like this video. Leave your thoughts on this movie in the comments below. And thanks for watching. Bye. It wasn't even as bad as the second, I thought. And that movie was funny. So... but yeah, I still enjoyed the movie overall. They start off with a recap, which I thought was kind of weird because I read on Wikipedia they did kind of want to make it is in the storyline. It does follow the storyline, but it's also kind of a reboot because, of course, the family was killed in the second movie. So I was just from my perspective, the way I piece things together, not looking this up or anything, just watching the movies, what I assume happened. But for me personally, it was a good movie. I enjoyed this movie. It had some cool fight scenes and everything, but it didn't feel like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. So yeah, this one wasn't very disturbing. They tried. There was a scene where they nailed the girl's hands into the chair for the dinner scene, and they tried some new stuff, but I don't know if it was Aragorn or the way the family interacted. It just didn't feel creepy or anything. Definitely, a weird cannibal family vibe and stuff. It wasn't like the first two. Definitely not like the first. The first one was very disturbing, but this one version, which is the one I watched, and I have no idea why they wanted this movie rated X. It's really not that bad at all. There's a few gory scenes, but it's nothing like what we have today. I mean, I was very surprised that they thought this was too much in 1990. So that being said, I thought this was a pretty good movie. It wasn't really disturbing though, and I don't know if it's because of the movie itself. It just didn't really feel like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, or if it's because I've watched so many of these lately that I've just become numb to it. Was Leatherface somehow survived and went to go live with some relatives who also happen to eat people. That's just what I pieced together. So anyways, in the recap, it says Sally died in a mental institution in 1977. A member of the family, the cannibal family, W.E. Sawyer, died in the gas chamber in 1982. And they thought that Leatherface was one of his alter egos, that he'd turn into Leatherface when he wore a mask made of human skin. However, it goes on to say that if Leatherface was actually real, Alright guys, welcome back to another horror room movie review, and today is Leatherface, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. This movie came out in 1990. Budget of $2 million, only made $5 million. That's not good. But this movie has Viggo Mortensen, who is Aragorn from Lord of the Rings. And there's actually two different versions of this movie. The movie they originally had planned, they wanted to have rated X. So, of course, they toned it down a little bit so it could get the R rating. Now, they eventually came out with the uncut